Hey guys, these are questions from 6.1 Lesson Check. Normally I don't make a video, but I did get some suggestions last grading period that this would be helpful. So let's take a look. Question number 1, it says, what is the measurement of angle B? So we don't know what it is. That's what we're solving for. We could call that X, and then when we find that out, we'll have our answer, right? So let's count how many sides we have, right? So this is a heptagon. And so now it's like all of those are interior. So we know that these are interior angles and we're adding them up. So that's the interior sum. And if we look back in our notes, we say, okay, interior sum, this is the formula I need. Okay? So the interior sum when n is 7 is 180 n minus 2, and n is 7. So 180 times 5 should tell me what those angles should all add up to. So that's 900. So all of these numbers, that would be 90, right? All those numbers plus the x have to add up to 900. So 120, 129, 130, 142, 190, 148. So I get 7. Right now you might want to double check me. I get 141. Okay, and I think that's one of our choices, so I feel good about that. This would be 141, and we could check our work by adding all these up. They all should add up to 900 because it is a 7-sided shape. Question number 2. The interior angle sum of a convex polygon is 1980. So again, the formula is the same one, 180 times n minus 2. And we know that the sum, the interior sum, is, they actually are giving us the answer here, 1980. So how many sides can we solve for n? And we say, yes, I can use algebra. So I can divide both sides by 180. And now on this side, I get n minus 2. And on the right, 1980 divided by 180. Is 11. Ooh, okay. So I add 2 on both sides, and I get n is equal to 13. Now it says if a regular polygon, so that means all the sides and all the angles are equal. If it's a regular polygon, what is the measure of each? So what is the measure of each? That means we have to use this side, each. 1, what would be 1? So it's the same formula that we see here, right? This formula is the same one there, but we just divide by the number of sides to find out what each one would be. Okay, so back to our problem. What is the measure of each one? That would be the same sum, 1980, divided by n. And we have 13 of each of them. And I get a decimal, 152.3. It says 1 decimal place, so I'm going to round that number. This was a 0, so I'll keep the 3 a 3. 152.3, round to the nearest tenth. Nice. Okay, question number 3. What is P? Okay, so we got to be sneaky here. First, we have to solve for X, and then once we know X, we plug that back in and find P. So this is just like question number 1 with a little added step. So this is a 5-sided shape. So again, I'm going to use my sum of my interior is equal to the formula 180 n minus 2. I have 5 sides. So the sum of my interior is 180 times 3. So I get 540. Okay. Now, all these angles have to add up to 540. So this one, this one, this one, this one, all 5 angles have to add up to 540. So the 4x plus 2, 6x minus 6, all these. So there's a lot of terms we have to combine. 4x, 6x, 4x, 5x. 5x, that's a lot. Okay, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24x. Now let's just look at our numbers. So we have 2 minus the 6 minus 10 minus 11 plus 13. All right, I got a total of negative 12, and we know that has to equal 540. Okay, so now I'm going to add 12 on both sides. And divide 24 on both sides. And I get 23, but I'm not done, right? I was asked for angle P, so I found out what x is. So it's 4, angle P is 4 times x plus 2. So 4 times 23 plus 2. (94 degrees). All right, question 4. Now this is our kite. So again, we learned that from our notes that kites are special because their diagonals are perpendicular. So that's a 90-degree angle. We also know these opposite angles are congruent. So we got to be careful about that. Okay. So here, this is this diagonal and that diagonal meet at a 90. So I want to focus on this right triangle because I know 2 of the 3 sides, right? I don't know that side, but I could call this B and this C and use Pythagorean Theorem, right? So I don't know A, but I know B is 8, so I can do B squared. And I know the hypotenuse is 10. And I get 36. Ooh, that's exciting, right? Because if I take the square root of both sides, A is 6. Okay, and that looks good. Okay, so that's 6. Now, I also know that this triangle up top is congruent to this triangle on bottom because of a hypotenuse leg. They both share, they're both right triangles, and they both hypotenuses are 10 and both legs are 8. So that means that these are corresponding parts of congruent triangles. This is 6. So what would be the whole length here? That would be 6 and 6, or all the way across is 12. That's BD. B to D. All right, number 5. If angle M in P is 107, what is in M Q? Okay, that's pretty straightforward because I know these arrows mean they're parallel. And if we extend this line and extend these 2 parallel lines, hopefully you're noticing that this is inside the road. So this is the obtuse angle, and this is the acute angle. And those are angle 1 and angle 2 have to add up to 180 because of same side interior angle theorem. So this happens, it happens in our trapezoids. So if angle 1 is 107 and the second angle, angle 2, I don't know, I can solve for that. 73. Yep, and that is an acute angle. Nice. Okay, question number 6. If MP, so MP is 6x minus 5. Ooh, sorry about that.
The bus circle is now open. If you ride a bus, head to the bus circle.
QR. QR is 3x plus 1, and RN is 6. RN is 6. What do we know? Well, hopefully you can actually see visually with your eyes, but also kind of use your intuition and this idea of reflect. We know that isosceles trapezoids are reflexive, meaning they can reflect. They have reflexive symmetry. This left side could reflect on top of that right. And so because of that, this long diagonal, MP, is equal to the long diagonal NQ. So if MP is 6x minus 5, and NQ is this whole diagonal, so it's 6, and then it's this extra 3x plus 1, right? Then they should be equal to each other. So diagonals of isosceles trapezoids are congruent. So let's look back at our notes. They have congruent diagonals, right? And so what do they mean? That means this length is equal to this length. And that does look correct. So let's set that up and solve. So these I can combine. All right, let's get all the x's on one side. Now, I haven't solved it yet, but I'm getting close. QN. What is the whole thing? Okay, so we know that x is 4, so we can plug in 4 here. So this is 6, and this is 3 times 4 plus 1. So that should be QN. Now, we could double check this too. This also should be 19, right? Because it said diagonals are equal. So 6 MP was 6x minus 5. If x is 4, 6 times 4 minus 5 is 19 as well. Yep, so that is perfect. All right, last one of our lesson check. Question 7. So most classes we talked about this. This would create an average, the law of averages. So if now it's laying sideways, but if you can kind of imagine this trapezoid, if this cut right in the middle, so that this is called a mid-segment, this one is exactly halfway in between, then it should be the length that's the average of the blue and the red. Okay, so a perfect example of this is if this was maybe a length of 7 units long and this was a length of 9 units long, then you know this has to be 8 units long, somewhere in between. It's actually the average. So what do? You add this 9 and the 7 and you divide by 2. So half of 16 is 8. So it's really just the law of averages. And the same would be true if this was 70, 80, and 90. The law of averages. So the mid-segment is just kind of like a midpoint. I would use the average formula. So let's do that. The green length is 12 plus the yellow length. 2.5 times JK, which is 12, so it's 2.5 bigger than 12. And then I want to divide by 2, which should tell me HL. It is the average length. So this is going to tell me HL. All right, so 2.5 times 12, 30. Okay, so this is 30. So what is the average? So if you got a quiz score of a 12 and a quiz score of a 30, add them together and divide by 2. 21 is the number perfectly in the middle between 12 and 30. So my segment HL is 21. Nice job, guys. See you next time.